Welcome to CathyDSlaught's SRC4u Zoom call for January 4th, 2022. We're here on Cathy's website, CathyDSlaght.com. We're going to scroll down. We're going to look for this Zoom banner. We're going to click here, and that'll take us over to the Zoom platform. If you'd like to be part of Cathy's SRC4u Daily Energy Clearing Group, all the information's right here. All you need to do is just register. If you'd like to follow Cathy's posts, you can follow her on Twitter. We'll go ahead and proceed to the Zoom platform. We're here there now. Please lower the speaker volume as the call may be loud.
Well, you can see we're still running from yesterday, and not only that, our planet Earth is still running from yesterday. And I did add, I checked, let me see if we've got that still in here. Did I? Oh, well, no, I'm going to show you where I tested that the next focus, we're going to go into intestinal carcinoma, which let me show you what's going on and why that is. But first of all, get up here. We mentioned there had been a priority for us to look at exploring some of the information we've gotten historically that may not be true. So I did skim through that. I'm not sure what the priority was, but a few codes, and I'll just send it out. But much of the information, the mainstream scientists are not comfortable in sharing it, and I'll tell you who else is not comfortable is our college professors. For example, we have some very interesting information about the so-called evolution that appears that's not really valid. And most of the professors will not share that with the students. They will not teach it because it's so contrary to what they've studied over the years. And so this is, I guess, the message of that was to re-examine conventional thinking. Look, and this may be the year we do that. A lot of people are waking up to a lot of things. Another interesting thing, all of our older societies were socialist, cooperative, or communal. For example, there was a lot of bartering going on, and it wasn't bartering for, hey, mine is this value and yours is that. It was all the same. So you might have someone who does the medical work, and they would equally barter with someone who babysat. And so it was very interesting, but the problem, it said there was an equality and a fraternity, perhaps unmatched anywhere today, but it was about spiritual growth. And what has happened now with whether it be socialism or communism is that you have this small group at the top calling the shots, getting richer and richer, and that isn't what it was intended to be. It was all equal, everyone sharing and living equally. It was about spiritual growth, and I don't know if you all know this or not, but Karl Marx, they have found his writings, and he was a high priest Satanist. Did you all know that?
No, ma'am.
No, not at all.
You know it now. And so what you see sometimes is kind of a surprise. Maybe that's why we're meant to re-examine. It's funny, as you go through, we've got our startup scan. We're not going to do it today because, we're still going from yesterday. But I test if something interesting comes up. I don't know where I put it now. I don't know the verbiage, but if something interesting comes up, I'll go in and see if it's a priority for our startup scan, and actually to revisit some of the spiritual information is a priority. I can't, scriptural information. So we'll look at that, whenever it pops up. One of the things, for example, interesting is the Psalms and the messages you can get from the Psalms, and we can do some wonderful cocktails from the Psalms. And then also, though, another thing, I was talking to someone this morning. She had an interesting way she's going about her work, and I think it sounds pretty good. She doesn't call things cocktails or protocols. She calls them the health vision. And that sounds pretty good. So in reference to our own health vision, yesterday we wanted a deeper scan, and we're going to go in the next few days. These were all zeros. This is all subtle energy. This is not what you'd get if you'd go to the doctor. This is your subtle fields. And I thought, let's look at some of this. For example, this intestinal information right here. Let's start with that because there's a lot of stress. This is a group, a lot of stress here. And it is the second leading cancer. And if you happen to not smoke, very often it's the first. So I went in, let's just look here. You can see we just want stress related to colon. We want the light panel. That's the only pro tool we're asking for. This to me is so preventative to get this information. And some people are not familiar with exactly what the colon is, and that is your large intestine and rectum. So let's go in here, and we have some really knowledgeable people, 13 hours, in the group about diet. I won't embarrass anybody by calling them out, but it sure would be nice to get a little information from them. Anyway, we've got some codes. Let's just look at this. For example, here's one, protect intestines against cancer. Let's see. The idea is, whether it's with, say, a Planet Earth cocktail or any other kind of, whatever you want to call it, cocktail health vision, you don't want to attract the very thing you're looking at. You got to realize what you're really doing. In other words, you want to have an awareness but not think about it too much. Here's a code, another code. There are a couple of these, and I'm just going to send this to you, that are inherited. About 50% of all colon cancer, according to what I'm reading, is inherited. But as Bruce Lipton says, this genetic stuff is actually not that big of a deal, because what turns it on is the environment. So if you look, just a few other codes for those who are interested. But what they're discovering is a good microbiome is not enough, and especially as we age. And what's happening, we've got to give a priority to the intestinal wall. And what happens with the intestinal wall, if it gets cracked, which does happen as we get older and as we have a lot of environmental stress, and the bacteria in the colon, some good, some bad, whatever, goes into the blood, it gets attacked by the white blood cells, and that's what's causing inflammation. So we've got some challenges here. We'll go, look at this at different times. We've got so many pesticides and fertilizers, plastics. Antibiotics are certainly a stress to the colon. We need to have them at times, but that's a stress. Certain anti-inflammatory drugs, some of the ones we most common would use, are very rough on the intestinal wall. So you can see here, little by little, it cracks, and that's what causes the chronic inflammation. So you need two things, actually, strong intestinal wall and healthy microbiome. And because we are totally constructed or created, whichever way you want to say it, we have circuits. We have various circuits that can be activated to protect us against all this. And I got a kick out of this one right here. Here's a couple of things that might, you actually want a little stress. Not all stress is bad. That makes you tougher. Kind of like what the Chinese say with a crisis. It makes you aware of some opportunities. So, for example, when you're cold, it's a stress. So take some cold showers. I liked this one. Red wine is toxic, so every now and then have a glass of red wine. Short, intense exercise. calorie restriction, and you might want to revisit, if you haven't already, intermittent fasting, because that apparently, or of course you can go longer periods, but at least with the intermittent, you have that 16 hours, which is very good for the colon. This is an interesting one. This is a bacteria that protects the intestinal wall, but it only appears when you don't eat sugar or proteins. So that's an interesting thought. Any comments as we go along? It's a quiet group. I hope I'm not.
That
talking.
sugar thing is a real tough thing.
You know, what they're talking about too, I went in, this is an area I'm not that familiar with, is the food combining. And it looks like even if you could just do it 5 days a week, we're not going to ever be perfect. On that birthday, we're going to have our cake, our sugar, whatever. You don't have to be perfect. And even with the intermittent fasting, you don't have to do it every day. And I think so many of us, we think we have to be perfect, and it's not true. This food combining is really interesting. And of course, there goes your sandwiches, because you don't want the proteins and starches together. In fact, they're recommending only one kind of protein if you have the protein. And it looks like beans are a pretty big deal in place of animal protein. You can also eat a leafy green salad, which we know this stuff already, but I just went ahead and put it down. Eat fruit separately. Eat melons alone. It's kind of funny. There's a place in Florida, I don't think they're here anymore, called Shangri-La. And it was a health spa that you went and you stayed, and it was extremely Spartan. So it wasn't a fancy spa. I went a couple of times. And one time, they had a guy there. His friends had played a joke on him and told him Shangri-La was like Club Med. And he was there and he was going nuts. He, miserable, because there's nothing to do really. He got all this plant food and exercise classes, and he got up and tried to get a piece of melon, and they told him he couldn't have it because he'd already eaten. He went crazy. You never saw such a fit. So we all remembered that. I'll never forget it in reference to melon. Where it's recommended not to drink liquids with or immediately after a food. And if you're going to have dessert, ideally just have only dessert, or at least wait 30 minutes. And like I said, we've got some very knowledgeable people on this call in reference to all this. And then aloe vera, that would be something interesting to look into. It seems to be very, very good for the intestinal wall.
One other thing I'll mention, Cathy, is it's not good to have dairy with savory food. A lot of people drink a glass of milk with their meal, and it's a really not a good combination.
Okay, let's put that in here. Avoid milk meals.
Milk is better eaten with sweet type foods like cookies or cake or whatever, but not with savory things.
Thank you. This is a challenge, 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. You almost have to have a smoothie or be doing some juicing, etc. Here's a few other factors. Maintain healthy weight. They're talking, and again, not foods. We know this, I know you all know this, but the cruciferous, the plant foods rich in antioxidants. Here's an interesting code that we can add in, but again, I think we can add all the codes we want, but we've got to change the diet as well.
While researching pesticides, I was researching the sugarcane fields and came across that sugar is really not good for the body, and it's actually a toxin.
It's actually considered a poison, yes. Literally a poison. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the things that the British Empire did. They unfortunately one of their designs was to addict people to different substances, whether it was, tobacco or drugs or sugar. Sugar was a big thing. There were a lot of places that never indulged in sugar until the British, introduced it.
And it's hard to look at these things and say, was this intentional? I don't know. But it is a factor. And look at our marketing and all the processed and sugary foods. And we're being many times programmed to want those things.
And look how much sugar's in everything. And what they don't share with us is there's lithium in the syrup of the sugar. And look how much goes into our foods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like we're really wanting to eat real food, and possibly even eat real food that we grow.
Yes, yeah, that's good. Just a little point that I've come across a number of times is if you're planting a garden, it's always good to put the seed in your mouth first and kind of saturate it with your saliva, because it sort of introduces your own DNA to the seed, and the seed will bring forth, a product that is more in line with your own DNA.
That is incredible. Thank you for that.
That's awesome. Thank you.
It is, yes. Wow. So we'll have to learn. I want to learn more about that anyway. But again, alcohol, high levels of fat that's in your food. The fats aren't bad, but it is the high levels of fat in what you're eating. This nitrosamines, which are harmful and produced by this kind of stuff. Few things I'm hoping to get some codes for neutralize free radicals. That's what your plants do. Clear carcinogens in colon. We do have decreased the number of carcinogens. We have a code for that. Let's look at that.
Well, there's a pause, Cathy. I'll just mention that today's the day that they are introducing 5G worldwide.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, and there is a Grabavoy code for 5G. I don't have it right in front of me, but it came up right away when I typed in 5G.
Yes, there are some good ones, and let's just see. We have a good save session also. Let's just see if that's a priority for us to be running that. Hold on a second. This is decrease the number of carcinogens. So let's.
Does anybody have an article concerning the releasing of the 5G today?
I don't right offhand, but I know last evening when I was going through my going through the internet, I came across one after another. Everyone is very aware of the fact that it starts to. Oh, I know one place where you can go. If you go on YouTube and type in the channel "Hack the Headlines," she had a really good brief video about the implications of 5G. And I came across so many articles, so many links to information related to 5G, because people are aware that it's going to have an impact.
Yeah, we have to have the awareness. It doesn't look like we want the saved session at this time, but let's just see. We might want to all do a little something. Let's just do.
Found it. Thank you.
Good.
I'd like to pass it on to people who are non-believers about frequencies and cell phones and computers. And
yeah, they don't understand for sure. And it's looking now like the 5G is a big factor with the rise in autism. But if you try to tell someone who's expecting this, they don't want to hear it.
Oh, I know. I was a nanny for a family, and when the mother was pregnant with the second child, she was just so dismissive of the idea that any kind of frequency, including her cell phone, could be harmful to the child. She used to, have the cell phone in her lap while she was driving, and she was just not interested in hearing anything about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we've got a lot of information if we can share it with people, even one at a time. I know I tried to share it with my daughter, and she's just like, you know.
I just sent you a brief thing on the chat that they've delayed it till January 19th.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Very good, thank you. You know, apparently 5G will affect the aviation industry in a negative way. It will sort of distort their perception as they're landing. And I think a request was sent to the transportation department to please not, let 5G in. And first they said no, and now maybe they have come under enough pressure that they are agreeing.
That's good news, Kevin. I talked with my friend in San Francisco last night. She says they're waking up there. And she's pretty optimistic now, which was not the case before. But people, unfortunately, are seeing the results of the vaccine. And they're also seeing that the vaccines don't seem to have any particular effectiveness, and they're still getting whatever they're getting. And even with boosters, they're still getting whatever they're getting. And she says people are waking up. They're starting to look at some information that may have been contrary to what they were looking at before. So she's happy.
In some of the less developed countries where they have erected 5G towers, the villages have been practically decimated. So I think in one instance, 30 people died within a period of 2 weeks. So the villagers went out and tore down the tower. But apparently there are different kinds of 5G depending upon where they're manufactured. There's one that's sometimes referred to as Huawei. It's a product of China. And that one is apparently very, very negative. And then there are other ones that are not so negative. And then I've even heard that in the future, our 5G towers can actually be transformed into Tesla towers and beam very positive energy. So the potentials are there if they're used correctly.
And now I think that may come. It's going to be very interesting. Just like also the 5G doesn't affect everybody the same way. Some people have no problem with it.
That's right.
So, it's just something we need to be aware of, and then not, as you know, what we're doing is just having an awareness and then moving forward, because we can't live in dread or fear of this stuff. That just brings it on. So we've got a fine line to walk, I think, anyway. So that's it so far for today, since we're still running from yesterday, and we've got our Earth cocktail, and I did check for priority for us to add that to our startup scan for whenever we need it. It was a high priority, so we've got that as well. And I've been really having fun making these vision boards for my friends, and they're excited about it, and they resonate with it. And I hope you all will give that a little bit of a shot also. See what you can do, because I think these images and these words can be very helpful for some big shifts.
Maybe you could do a separate Zoom on how to do a vision board with.
I can't. I did one the other day, but I'll have to do a screencast because I can't really, with the way I do it. If I leave trying to pull up the images and click them in, I lose the Zoom. So how about I do a screencast and send it out?
That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, and that may make some sense. And this would be something you could do for your friends or your clients, definitely for yourself, and just put it to the test. Certainly not going to hurt anything, but we know vision boards have been done for years, and why not do them and send them to our subtle bodies as well?
Right.
I just downloaded an app to make a vision board on my phone. I don't know if has anybody else tried that?
Never heard of that.
What's the name of the app?
1 second. My phone's in the other room. I'll go grab it.
Cathy.
Yeah.
Is
Hey,
there any
Karen.
way you could retrieve that wonderful image you had yesterday? It was so interesting. You didn't know where it came from. It was when the subject was empowerment. And it just looked like something that was grounded in the earth, and then it had a reddish peak. It was a very interesting geometric object.
Okay, I'll have to look for it. Yeah, I'll look at.
I'd
Was that
love
in,
to have that. I think it's
Okay.
very empowering. I
Was
haven't
that-
been able to get.
okay, was that in the Earth vision board?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, I'll go back through and look.
Thank you, Cathy.
So, and then if we'll wait and see if we've got that phone app, if Nancy can find the name of it.
It's called Vision Board,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and it has a pink heart as the symbol.
That's amazing.
I think it might be a tool from what I'm looking at, that you can save different images. So
Mhm.
that might be helpful for saving the images to load into our option field or however you
Love
want
it.
to.
Love it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, let me know if you guys work with it. I haven't, like I said, I think I added one photo, and that's all. That was months ago, so I need to revisit that.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can figure it out. Okay, well, anything else for today?
Oh, Cathy, I want to thank you for the email, actually.
Oh, it finally went through. Yay!
I thought you got it.
Yay! I love it, love it.
I do too. And saying the reading of 3 times during the day, I thought that was powerful. When you
Yeah,
wrote
the
it.
she motion, it seems off the surface, the she motion may seem a little silly, but it's quite powerful. I think, Kevin, you said it's one of our most powerful applications.
Right.
Yeah, so anytime we ask for it, or even if we don't, it's not a bad idea.
Kevin, what makes it so powerful?
Because it's based on the emotional charges.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, emotions are at the root of everything.
Mhm.
Just about.
Mhm.
Do we have any guide? I've only played with it a little bit, and is there any help for the she motion? I'd like to.
Yeah, there's a whole help file. There's an extensive help file.
Okay, thank you.
Just look. Well, I won't minimize now, but we'll look in there tomorrow. Okay, well, it looks like that's it for today. And
Thank you.
I'll try to eat our 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, which are
I cannot. It's too much.
yeah, it almost looks like that's where we want to look again at juicing and smoothies. Try to help with that.
Well, I do the dehydrated fruits, which you can order online, and they're great. Like I have pineapples and papaya, and that smaller servings, that's much more easy to do, and they're really good.
Yeah, thank you. What's the name of it? Do you remember? Okay.
No, I can't. I should, but I can't because I ordered so much at once.
Yeah, and of course another one I'm not involved in it. Which probably should be is Juice Plus, and Juice Plus. I think they still give free gummies to children and college students. I think so, and that's a good product. I have people on it, and a lot of times they'll ask me just to test for the priority, and it's there for them. But especially those gummies for kids.
If anybody wants a contact for Juice Plus, I do that, and I use Susan Trial. Her email is fruitandveggienurse@gmail.com.
Yeah, send the link if you will, because I don't know that we have anyone in the group that does that.
Okay, great.
Okay.
You know, if anybody is involved with Avon, I'm told that their Skin So Soft is the best gnat and mosquito repellent that you can get. I'd love to buy some.
Do we have anybody on with Avon?
I could find out.
Yeah, you might know some people.
Yeah, I may know one.
Yeah.
I'll find out if I could.
Very good. That's
Thank you.
wonderful. Okay, well, I guess that'll be it. So that my internet doesn't go down. So
Okay.
we'll see you all tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much, Cathy.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Thanks, Kathy.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Cathy.
Concludes the SRC4u Zoom call. Thank you for participating. We look forward to seeing you again. Till then, take care and be well.